And we have events out here. We have a Memorial Day service every year. We have a Veterans Day service every year. I've already mentioned the final salute service, which is in October, as well as the Wreaths Across America service in December.
Good morning and welcome back to Still Serving Iowa Veterans. We are here at the Iowa Veteran Cemetery in Van Meter, Iowa, and we are sitting with the director, Gavin Sandvig. I'm Carlene Hall.
I'm Darlene McMartin.
Thank you for joining us today. Gavin, as per normal, we'd like to start out talking a little bit about who we're speaking with on a personal level. So tell us a little bit about you, maybe where you grew up, what life is like.
Wow, okay, that goes back a long ways.
We don't want to go that far. You just,
Are you originally from Iowa?
I am born and raised in Iowa.
Okay.
I actually was born in Mason City.
Okay.
And then relocated to Eagle Grove, Iowa,
Okay.
where I was raised. My mom, Penny, and my dad, Wayne, who is no longer with us. He passed away in 2004. He's born and raised in Eagle Grove as well. So
Okay.
Eagle Grove was my home for 21 of my 52 years of existence. So
Okay.
graduated from there. Then I went on to college.
Okay.
Played basketball at North Iowa Area Community College. I was part of a national championship team in 1995. A lot of people don't know that,
That's
but very fortunate to be part of that team. And kind of funny, before NIAC, I actually went to Waldorf College for a semester.
Okay.
Realized that I could not afford to go to school on my own.
Okay.
So that's when January 1st of 1993, I raised my right hand to defend the Constitution of the United States, and I joined the Iowa Army National Guard. And I served 30 years with the Iowa Guard.
Wow.
Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah.
Thank you for
that.
That's
I
wonderful.
was able to serve 20 years on active Guard Reserve, so I was Title 32. I was an AGR. I was an AGR. Yep.
Okay.
And I just retired in February of 2023. 3 deployments. I was in Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. I was in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan in 2010. And then I was in Kosovo for Operation Inherent Resolve in 2020. So
Yeah. Wow, Gavin.
Yeah.
Big history. And now you're here at the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs.
Yep.
You have a beautiful family.
Yep. I met my wife Shannon in Cedar Rapids. Well, actually, we met in Iowa City. She's from Cedar Rapids originally. When I graduated from college, I moved down to Cedar Rapids. We got married on tax day of 2000, and it's easy to remember. And we relocated to Ankeny, Iowa in 2005 when our firstborn Ben was born in October of 2005. February of 2005. We moved to Ankeny in 2005 and has lived in the same house ever since.
Oh, okay.
So and I've got 3 boys. Ben is 21. He plays baseball at Grandview University.
Nice.
My middle son Sammy's a sophomore at University of Sioux Falls, plays football, and then my youngest son Joey, he just graduated from Ankeny High, is going to be a Hawkeye at the University of Iowa. So we're kind of excited about that.
That's
Empty
awesome.
nest syndrome hits you. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll be going directions to colleges and activities.
Yeah.
That's just,
Fall will be busy with football, spring will be busy with baseball, and winter and summers will be fun. So,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah. Enjoy. Yeah.
Well, wow. Well, you are the consummate Iowan.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
serving your country, playing sports in high school, living a family life. And what brought you to the Iowa Veterans Cemetery? How did this come about?
I retired in 2023. I didn't take any time off. I went right into another job. It was a sales position. So it was a direct commission. So it was all 1099. So if I didn't sell anything, I wasn't making any money. And it was a great job, great company. My friends own the company. Very fortunate to have that opportunity. But I was missing something.
You still had customer service, though.
oh,
That's
yeah,
what you wanted. You're a people person.
I love meeting new people, and I love getting out,
Yeah.
and you're meeting all different kinds of people, and I'm very good with talking to people, but it wasn't fulfilling, and so I happened to get on LinkedIn one day, and Todd Jacobus, our commandant, he had posted something on his LinkedIn, which I've known Todd Jacobus for a long time. We both served together, and so I saw the posting of this position, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
It's a calling. It's a calling.
So I called him. I called him right away, and and he said you absolutely need to put your name in for the position. It's going to be competitive, but put your name in, and we'll do the interview and all sorts. And so I put it in. I interviewed. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this, because there are a lot of people that are a lot more qualified than I am to get this. And when I got the call from Nathan Wilson, who's our executive operations officer for the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs, I was at my son's baseball game.
Oh.
And I got the call, and I was elated. It took off from there. And so I'm just finishing up year 2. I was hired on July 5th. I started, my first day was July 5th of 2024. And so I am now just finishing up my second year as the bureau chief for the Iowa Veterans Benefits and the Iowa Veterans Cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break right here, and we'll be back to talk more about the Iowa Veterans Cemetery. Got clutter piling up? FM Junket in Carson, Iowa is your hometown cleanup crew. Fast hauling, fair prices, and now easy dumpster rentals for DIY cleanouts. Your single items to full-on messes, FM Junket gets it done. Call today and breathe a little easier.
Welcome back to Still Serving Iowa Veterans. We're at the Iowa Veterans Cemetery, interviewing and going to take a little tour in a little while with the director of the cemetery, Gavin. And he's just going to kind of give us a little overview of how this started. And it's been here for 21 years, 22 years?
Actually, 18 years it's been operational.
Years.
Yep, 2008.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay, in operation, but it started way before that. It was a vision of the commission and the state of Iowa, because we didn't have a cemetery in Iowa before, so it was something that was necessary and needed for our, how many veterans? 151,000 veterans, and the purpose of it was trying to get it centralized to meet a radius of veterans and the need. Yep. So how did it begin? Yeah,
fact check here, but I believe in 1978, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the National Cemetery Administration, which is part of the Department of Veterans Affairs, they created the state cemetery program.
Okay.
And so it's federal grants. Where states can apply for federal grants and get a state funded or state run cemetery, and let's fast forward all the way up to the early 2000s, where like as you mentioned, there was a calling or there was a need for a state cemetery in Iowa. Prior to that, the closest cemeteries at the national level were over in Omaha, and then down in Keokuk, Iowa, where the Keokuk National Cemetery, beautiful cemetery, very old historic cemetery, down in Keokuk, Iowa. And so as you mentioned, trying to find something centrally located that can happen. And so a gentleman by the name of Pat Palmersheim, when he was the executive director of the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs, he really worked hard and created that vision of having a state cemetery. And so, if my history is correct, back in 2004, he had a fundraiser where he was selling these silver and bronze commemorative coins to try to raise money to help get the cemetery concept started. And fast forward to 2006 and 7, where Pat was really pushing for this, and he was looking for land. He, at one point, the only military installation that we really have in Iowa is Camp Dodge. And so they looked at the very north end of Camp Dodge, cantonment area, and it just, after talking with Pat, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right.
No.
You're secluded.
Stuffed in a corner
There's
over
no there's only one sort of access, and things. So it just didn't feel right. So he really was kind of going all over the place. And a gentleman that people are very familiar with in the Des Moines area by the name of Bill Knapp had this beautiful land out west Des Moines, right off of the interstate. And so there were conversations, and when Pat came out here and saw the rolling hills out here, it was meant to be, and so the development began, and all of the planning and the development and the concepts, it came to fruition, and
Now, was this land donated, or was this a real estate transaction?
I want to say the majority of the land was donated.
Wow.
76 acres.
Something like
By
that.
Bill
Yeah.
Knapp.
Yep.
He donated that. Yeah.
And there's more acres that are leased, if you will, not through the state, but it's all. So really, this cemetery sits on 103 acres.
Okay.
Okay. Not everything's developed. Obviously, we have phases to the cemetery, but phase 1, which technically we're still in. Is what we'll see here later when we take some footage. That this is the stuff that was donated from Bill Knapp. And then so 2008 in July the first interment took place, and off we are. And now to this day we have over 9,000 interments here.
Oh wow!
Between veterans and spouses and a very small dependent children.
So you have interments in the ground, and then you have columbarium walls.
Yep.
And I noticed that we are applying for, I guess, more columbarium walls, because that's the way, people...
Correct.
It saves space, it gives them the option of doing interments in ground, and then...
Now, when you say we're applying for more columbarium walls,
Yeah.
define we and where that application goes.
Sure. So there are 3 ways that a veteran or spouse or dependent child can be interred out here at the cemetery. We have an urn in ground, where we dig a hole, I guess, for lack of better terminology. We'll dig a hole and the urn gets placed in the ground, and they get a government furnished headstone with that placement, that interment. We also have urn in a columbarium wall. So we have walls across throughout the cemetery where the urn gets placed in what's called a niche. And it gets covered with a granite stone niche cover.
Okay.
And then the third way, obviously, is the traditional way, which is the casket burials. And so, when the columbarium walls were built, we are now in walls 10 through 12. And right now, we're in wall 11, where we're having interments, and so we came up on the list through the Veterans Affairs. Cemetery Grants Program. That's what it's called. And I think it was last fall, we were notified that we're going to receive a federal grant for our columbarium wall expansion.
Fabulous.
On top of our pump house to get that upgraded so our irrigation system can get functioning again. And we can talk about that if you guys want to, so that the federal the cemetery grants program is going on right now, and actually tomorrow, Thursday, we're actually having a pre-bidding meeting to start getting the contracts out for bid for the construction of the walls.
Nice.
Yep.
And the thing is people need to understand that you have to adhere to national standards, Arlington standards for this cemetery. So the headstones, the grounds have to be maintained immaculately. They have to meet all of those standards. But it's a state cemetery.
Yeah.
It was fully funded originally from the National Cemetery System.
From the federal government,
From the federal government, but it's still Iowa funded to maintain it. So there's a lot of things you can still get through the national, but a lot of it's Iowa state funds.
That's absolutely correct. The only one caveat to that is every time we have an interment and we turn the paperwork into the VA, we do get reimbursed
Right.
for operational costs. For that. But yeah, we're state funded, and so. The standards out here, which is why it doesn't look like a private cemetery, because we have to maintain things to certain standards. Every 3 years we have the NCA, the National Cemetery Administration's inspection team will come out to cemeteries, and they'll inspect state cemeteries, and there is a program that we have to follow. Headstones have to be aligned.
Yes.
Both vertically and horizontally. They can only be plumb like 87%, something like that. So they need to be straight. They have to be aligned accordingly. The grounds, we have to have green grass.
Sure.
Irrigation is a priority. It's a must. We have to water the grass. The mowing and string trimming, and those things are all to the standards. And so we can only have fresh flower. We have fresh flowers all year long. We can't have artificial flowers certain times of the year. And so we have to maintain that. Otherwise, we get when we have an inspection, we get dinged, if you will.
Yeah.
So
But that's honor.
Yeah, it's an honor.
That's
right.
honor
right.
to honor these veterans who
Exactly.
are buried here.
Yes.
And keeping that beautiful. And Darlene and I had the pleasure of getting to go on an honor flight last October, so we got to visit Arlington. That was my first time, and the uniformity is absolutely breathtaking, and it was the very same feel pulling in to the entrance here at the Iowa Veterans Cemetery.
Carlene's never been here.
This is my
It
first
was
time
just
here.
awesome for her to
Yes,
to see
it's
it
absolutely
in new eyes. Yeah.
beautiful. You pull into this cemetery knowing that these veterans who have served are being honored here
Yeah.
in their resting place.
Yeah.
And the families can come and feel like it's part. I mean, like
Yeah.
to a normal cemetery, you go to your local one and you honor them. But you have more than just that out there. You have memorials, you have monuments out there
Yep.
that are depicted of organizations. And I remember we had to have certain standards when those applications came through.
Yes.
So that's out here. So it's not just simply headstones. It's not that. It's more than that out here.
It's honoring those who served.
Right.
Whether they they were killed in action, whether they lived a long life, those that served our country, it's a way for us to honor them, and their spouses, because spouses serve too,
Right.
and so it's a very humbling experience to be out here and to see the amazing work that my staff does out here, both in the front office and in the back office. The amazing work that they do, and a lot of times they don't get recognized, for the attention to detail that goes into this cemetery. And I'm just very proud of the team out here and all that they do and they continue to do. And it's not easy. It's just not easy.
It takes a lot of staff. I mean, and you also use a lot of volunteers. You have a lot of people that want to come out here and help as much as possible. So you have organizations that volunteer on a different time.
Yeah.
You have the Reeves
across America.
across America that come out in December to put a wreath on every headstone, and the volunteers that it takes for that. I mean, are just, and like I said, the mowing. You got 76 acres to mow.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck.
So we're very
Yeah.
blessed. We have a volunteer group from the Knights of Columbus that come out here every Tuesday in the summer, and they mow for us.
Wonderful.
They'll mow between the headstones. They'll mow the grounds, and it's their way to give back.
Wow.
And then a lot of times it's my staff's responsibility to go out and string trim around the headstones to make sure there's no weeds sticking up and things like that. And it takes a concerted effort. I'm only authorized 5 full-time employees in the back room.
Yeah.
And their responsibilities are they help with the services, grounds maintenance. They prep the site.
Opening and closing of the grave sites.
The opening and closing of the sites.
Yeah.
They have mechanical issues. They fix it. So I mean, I have my guys, my employees. They have a lot of things that they have to do. And let's not talk about the setting of the headstones. What a laborious task that is.
Sure.
And they're heavy. My gosh.
And as you can see outside, it's 90 degrees outside, and these guys are out there setting headstones. And but you know what? They don't complain because they know why they're doing it, and they're proud.
It's an honor.
And they're honored. And and I've got two of my 3 staff are veterans, and the other 3 are not. And the 3 that are not veterans or haven't even served, they're like, they love being here. They're serving our veterans by being here. Yeah. And same with the gals in the front office. Gina, Julie, and Sidra. They work with the families every day. They work with the funeral home directors every day. They have a lot on their plate to do. And oh, by the way, it's a paperwork thing because it's so detailed that has to go into the time the time of death until the time they're buried, and then so that paperwork it has to be correct in the system. Otherwise, there's problems. Right.
And the veteran can start this process themselves. If they choose to be at the Iowa Veteran Cemetery, they can do a predetermination, get the paperwork started, the DD-214s and the request in. They can do that, and then it's there, it's started, it helps them out. But if they choose not to, then no big deal. But if they have any inclination at all that they want to be here, get the application started.
It's a simple application. It's a pre-burial determination application where the veteran and the spouse can fill out the application. It's a simple 1-page application that's very, very specific, and the only 2 documents that are required with the application is a DD-214 certificate of discharge to show your service, as well as your characterization of service, and that's important. And then if the spouse determines that they want to be buried here as well, it's a marriage certificate.
Right.
That's all it is. And when I talk about the characterization of service, so a DD-214 that shows that they were on, that they're considered a veteran by the federal standards. And then the characterization of service, it has to be an honorable discharge. Right. And so if it's general, if it's other than honorable, there's some things that we have to take a look at to see if that person is actually considered a veteran. And that's it. And they can apply. I mean, I'm 52. Shannon and I have already put our application in. It sits in our database until the time of need, and it's just one less thing that the family has to worry about.
Right.
So
because they're scrambling, a lot of times they're scrambling to try and find that DD-214 and that information. So if there's...
You'd be surprised the number of veterans that are out there that do not have a copy of their DD-214.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Let's touch on that real quick. Yeah. Let's touch on how the best way for them to get a hold of that. And it's important for them to have that for everything veteran. If they're going to... file a claim, if they are going to file for a pension, if they're going to be buried here, and across the state of Iowa, there are so many benefits given by the state. If you, for instance, there's license plates.
Sure.
Your benefits office.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's also the opportunity to have some tax relief, property tax relief.
Yep.
So.
Yep. My other hat is I have a team of benefit specialists on Camp Dodge that their responsibilities are to assist veterans and their families with really state benefits and federal benefits that they're entitled to, and it can be anywhere from a simple the veteran license plate application. If a veteran wants to have the veteran designation on the license plate through the Iowa Department of Transportation, we work side by side with the Iowa Department of Transportation in that application process because we have to verify the DD-214. The veteran designation on the driver's license, we assist with that. and then of course on the federal side, we work with the 99 county veteran service offices across the state with their county veteran service officers to ensure that our veterans, if they're eligible for any sort of VA disability benefits, or anything in the county, we work kind of side by side with those veteran service officers to assist them. And so my team on Camp Dodge, they're subject matter experts in the processes. We have the Veterans Trust Fund, which is a huge program for the state, where veterans, if they're in need, financially, whether it's medical, dental, they have vehicle repairs that need to be done, emergency housing, repairs, whether it's a furnace in the wintertime that goes out or an air conditioning unit in the summertime, it's an application process that we manage. And we work with the Iowa Commission of Veterans Affairs. We work for the Iowa Commission of Veterans Affairs, and to ensure that they have the information to make decisions on these applications. And so there's just a lot of things out there that we're constantly trying to get the word out about those benefits.
Mm-hmm. And they can call the office.
Absolutely.
At what number?
Boy, you've got me on the spot there. It's
I can look it up.
Yeah, you probably need to put a plug in
There's
there.
an 800 number.
There's an 800 number.
And
yep.
They can go to the website.
Yep. I always I would refer people to the website because it's easy. It's easier. And so it's dva.iowa.gov.
Okay.
And it's you go out there, and at the top of the web page it
Gives you
has
all the numbers,
cemetery information, benefits information, the Iowa Veterans Home information. So it's a one-stop shop to receive information. Yeah.
And if they can't find a DD-214, they can call the office. You have the DD-214 repository section.
If we have the opportunity, in my office, if a DD-214 has been provided to us in our repository, Kevin House, who is our records clerk, he can look that up. If he doesn't have it, then we a lot of times we give them the information to contact St. Louis, where the Military Personnel Records Center is located at. Sorry, pardon me. And they a lot of times they find it there. And
It was really interesting. A while back I had to call in regard to an individual that tried to find their father's World War II records. Mm-hmm. Well, they couldn't find his DD-214, but he got the war bonus. And that war bonus information was there at the Camp Dodge office, which was very interesting because then it showed his dates of service and everything verified, but no DD-214. So then they could send down to St. Louis, and they would have a little bit more information, but they got the war bonus information, which was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's good to know for those veterans who are searching for those, or for spouses who might be searching for those records, or family members.
And it's kind of nice, just like getting ready for this unfortunate situation where they need to find a burial spot or need to find their records so they can get a flag and they can get buried in honors. And it's just another little step, another little avenue to locate some records without having to go clear to St. Louis.
Right.
If they can get it locally, better. But and then
can't stress enough how important it is to acquire that DD-214 sooner than later.
We have a lot of them that they get burnt in a fire at their own home. Mm-hmm. They get lost in a flood. They get whatever. They can send away for it again. Yes. So that's why it's important to record it in the recorder's office in the counties if they haven't done that.
Yes, for younger veterans.
Younger veterans
who are just
get
getting
it recorded.
Discharged. Go to your county recorder and record that DD-214.
Can't stress the importance enough of that. Yes. Go to your county recorder, put a file that DD-214 so it's always there.
Yes.
You have that in case, like you said, Darlene, an unfortunate incident where a fire happens.
Yeah.
And your military records are gone.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You have to be motivated to do that because it's unlike a deed to a property or
it's not automatic.
A marriage license or a marriage certificate. It's automatically recorded. However, with the DD-214, it is on the veteran to get a hold of that DD-214, the time of discharge, go directly to that recorder's office and get that filed because that is not an automatic process.
It is not. And with the the 2,000 plus Iowa National Guard soldiers just returned from their
Correct.
deployment, right? Prime example where, and I was there as a young soldier when my first deployment. You're going through all these briefings, when you return, and you're sitting in and you're hearing all this stuff, and you're going, oh, I don't want to be here, and this is, it's so important. And for young veterans out there, that hopefully see this, it is so important that you maintain all of your records. Your medical records, your DD-214s,
Yes.
your entire military life needs to be maintained by you, because you can't rely on Military Personnel Records Center to keep it. So it's very important because there's a lot of benefits that are associated with your history, your service.
Gosh, Gavin, I feel like the recruiters should be given a sheet of paper that tells them this is what you're going to need to keep track of. Because someday, given the unfortunate event of an incident, accident, or exposure, you're going to want to keep track of it while you're in.
Yeah.
Keep track of it. A lot of times, many times, how many times have we sat behind the desk talking to a veteran and they went to the infirmary or and there's no record of it.
Yeah.
Track of it.
Yeah. So keeping track of all of that.
I have 2 3-inch binders
Yeah.
that I maintain that has my entire military history,
Yeah.
medical notes,
Yeah.
trainings that I did, award certificates, DD2. I have it all. And my dad, who served 30 years in the Army, said, "Son, keep this stuff. Do not get rid of it."
Yeah.
So
That's great.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
something we need to beat this drum.
Oh man.
More than we are now about keeping those records, keeping track, and with everything going on, when you're first enlisted or drafted, and then everything you go through after that, you don't think about these things, right? You've got the blinders on, you're
Yeah.
going, you're taking
Yeah.
orders. But this is something that we really need to figure out a way to get this message out to those young recruits, even.
So Nick Praska, who is my county veteran service officer representative, I've known Nick for a long time. When I was getting ready to retire from the service, he and I sat down and we talked. He's younger than I am, and he says this, and I'll never forget it. And it's for any veteran out there. It's not about what you're going through now necessarily, about what you could be going through in the future as you age and that as you develop these ailments and things like that, and it's all about attributing to your service, because people in uniform, again, less than 10% of the United States population serve,
Right.
and they do things that they have to do things that most people don't have to do,
Right.
and so it's not about necessarily how you're feeling right now, but what you could be feeling later. And that's why the documentation is so important, to maintain those records, because you're entitled to things and you have those benefits, and it's important that you maintain those documents.
And it's not just for you down there. Something happens to you,
Absolutely.
you're in the cemetery, you're gone. Your family
Right.
wants to know.
Right.
Your children want to know. It's history.
Yes.
There's a lot of history there that needs to be preserved. And we were talking, you had a legacy program
Yeah.
that honors those individuals that served in the military that never gave themselves kudos
Right.
for what they did.
Right.
And now we're trying to
Yep.
honor them, and having those records is a way to keep their history alive.
Yeah, the VA, the National Cemetery Administration has a program. It's still relatively new. It's called the Veterans Legacy Memorial Program, and it's an online program where the veterans or the families, even after the veterans have passed, where they can go out there and they can put information about their veteran in this legacy program, and it's there. Like I can go in right now and I can create my own profile, and I can put pictures of me when I was in basic training or when I was in the mountains of Afghanistan. I can put pictures like that so that my legacy goes on forever.
Yep.
Or a veteran's legacy can go on forever. And so generations, my
That's
kids'
what
is
we
kids
want.
is kids
You
kids
want
kids.
those-
And it's so
Yeah.
cool. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a neat program, and so we're trying to push that information out as well.
That's so needed because we need to foster patriotism.
Absolutely.
We need to foster that. I think a lot of times in the great shuffle and the things that are going on in the information superhighway and everything that's coming at us, it's one of the first things to get lost in the shuffle. And I think teaching our young people, and I'm beating a drum myself because voter turnout in my county in the primary was like 19%.
Oof.
So I'm beating a drum. Let's get these young people taught how they
How
can have an
important.
effect. But with that comes that pride, that American pride, and fostering that patriotism. And if we don't do that, where are we headed?
Right.
So I
Right.
love that legacy program, and I love and those who are in the circle of military families and those who have that legacy, share it with your loved ones, share it with your friends, talk about it, hang those pictures on the wall, be proud. Don't a lot of times I think veterans will have a tendency to not want to ring their own bell, right?
Absolutely.
Ring that bell.
Yeah.
Ring
It was
the
just
bell.
a job. It was
Yeah.
just a job.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was proud. I was proud to serve. I'm humble. Americans, Iowans especially, are very humble people.
Yes.
They
get out and go to work.
They're
just
like
you said.
well,
Yeah.
those, I've heard things like, well, that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to serve.
Right.
And so it's important, and I think the program is neat, and and when we go to outreach events, I'm taking those trifolds,
yeah.
and I'm handing them to veterans.
Get that history out
Get
there.
that history in there,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah,
Just like the Women's Memorial. I mean,
Yes.
we
Yes.
put our women pictures up there as to what you did and served, but this is getting the legacy of my father served World War II.
Yeah.
It'd be great to get him in there. He's in the World War II Memorial thing, but this, I have his records. I could take those records and
I
show
can do the
that
same
he's-
thing with my dad too.
your
Yep.
dad, and
Yep.
it's just put it in there
Yep.
and keep that history alive. I mean,
Yes.
because you're at the cemetery, and when they pass away, you get a flag, you get a certificate from the president of the United States to honor their service, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Right.
But their history
Yeah.
is what was behind that.
yes,
It was everything that flag represented, what they did and how they did it and where they served and why they served. Because those conversations don't really happen. They come home, they go to work, and you don't sit down and have those conversations with a civilian person or anything. You might have it with your buddies that you served
sure,
with,
yeah,
but you're not sitting down and having that conversation with your child
Yeah.
or your family.
right,
And this way you can kind of put those snippets in there without really getting into the devil in the details kind of scenario of what
Sure,
you did.
sure.
But it's still
yeah.
important to have that history and stuff.
Last week, so I was a company commander in Afghanistan, and I had a soldier who was killed, Terry Pasker from Lisbon, Iowa. He was killed in action 2 days before we were scheduled to redeploy back to the States. He was doing one last run, and anyway.
Thank you for saying his name.
Yeah,
Yes.
Terry, Sergeant First Class Terry Pasker. He was KIA July 9th. I actually, he's been gone for 15 years. And last week I was at his gravesite on that day, and that's the first time I had been there. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, like his legacy needs to be remembered, and his service.
Yeah.
And the people that he was with, we talk, and and so it's great to have those memories and to be able to honor them. And so it's an important program, and I think it's necessary. So yeah.
And then they need to come out. I mean, say their name.
Yeah.
Say
Yes.
they served. They were part of it. Every one of these burials out here was a service person
Yeah.
that needs to be honored, and that's why it's so important for it to be as beautiful it is.
Absolutely.
And then the families can come out at any point in time. It's open. They can.
Every county
You-
and every town and every city in Iowa can find a way to do that. For example, in Fremont County, there's the Sydney, Iowa Championship Rodeo. Every year, the rodeo announcer announces all of the veterans who passed that year. And so they honor them every year
That's great.
during the rodeo. Yes, it is. It's wonderful, and of course that rodeo is put on by the local American Legion Post 128.
Yeah.
There in Sydney, Iowa, but every town has a celebration, every town or nearby town. And what a beautiful thing. You see a lot of these memorials being put up, and they will have all of the war eras and all of the names of the people from that town or that area who served and which war era they were in, and their dates of service.
Yeah.
So I love that about Iowa.
Yep.
Iowa
Oh, boy.
is
Not
one of the
gonna forget.
best.
They're not-
One
they're
of the
not
best
forgotten,
for
that's
that.
for sure.
Not
And-
forgotten in Iowa. That
No.
is exactly
No.
right. So
You know, in the governors of the past, you know, and even during my service, you know, all the governors of the past, I mean, they're very passionate about the Iowa, you know, National Guard, Army and Air. They were always there, and they were, you know, and very, very proud, and they always expressed it, you know. And Governor Reynolds now, I mean, she's passionate about veterans and about the service members, and so you know, you see it, like you said, in all the counties. You know,
Yes,
Bubba Sorensen
yes.
with all the Freedom Rocks in
Oh,
every
yeah.
county
Yes.
in Iowa. I mean, it's
Yep.
wow. You know, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about
of
it.
all
So
the
yeah,
memorials, so,
yeah.
And so out here, you do those honors, but you have service organizations that come out and help you with those honors. And so they're coming from all 99 counties to honor those veterans that come. And you work with the honor guards
Yep.
and allow them to do what they need to do to honor that county's veteran, and the families and the support, and it's just remarkable. Today we have none, but tomorrow I think you have a burial or not. No,
Friday we
Friday.
have a
Friday you
full
have a
day.
full day.
I mean, we have 4 time slots out here at the cemetery, where we conduct services. And we do that because it gives, you know, my staff the time for preparation and then for closure, and then to do other things. But I mean, we have 4 services a day, and I will tell you, we just closed out the books for 20, you know, for FY 26, fiscal year 26, and we had our largest number of interments in the history of the cemetery. We had over 730 interments, and that right there, you know, that's
got goosebumps.
yeah. I mean, it's you know, for a small staff, and it tells me a couple of things. One, we're getting the word out, which is good.
yes.
People, you know, the counties are doing a great job of promoting the Iowa Veterans Cemetery, which is great. And then, you know, we go to these different outreach events. We're getting the word out about the Iowa Veterans Cemetery. There are still people in the state of Iowa that don't know about this place.
that's why we're
Can you
here.
believe that?
Yes.
Can you
That's
believe
why
that?
we're here.
And this is why this is great. And
Yeah.
so, you know, everywhere we go, we're always taking applications to the Iowa Veterans Cemetery. Frequently asked questions about the Iowa Veterans Cemetery, and we're just constantly just getting the word out, which is great. That's what we're supposed to be doing, and so, yeah, over 730 interments this year. I was floored. You know, I knew it was going to be close. The previous year, which was in 2022, was 728. You know,
Okay.
so I mean, we're, you know, that's almost 60 services a month.
A month.
That's insane.
That is.
Yeah.
That's
So-
It is, and the funeral
Um,
and the funeral directors and the funeral homes, they all have that information,
Yeah.
and they're
Yep.
and I noticed that a lot of them, when they do their arrangements as well, with the families, they always say, you're a veteran.
Yeah.
You have the option. There's no cost to the veteran to be buried here.
Nope.
So they need to understand that the funeral is cost through the funeral homes, but the internment, the opening and closing, the casket's part of the funeral, but the columbarium or all of that is covered.
It is.
They don't have to pay for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of transient people that come through, and there's no charge for, or no stipulation for out of state
No.
in the state of Iowa.
No.
When we set this up years ago, it was set up that
Yeah.
anyone,
Yep.
anyone.
We just had an interment, I think, a couple weeks ago, where a gentleman lived in California, and he was a veteran, and he happened to drive through here one time, maybe 5 years ago, and came up to the cemetery and said, "I want to be buried here."
Wow.
I mean, we have those instances.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do not have to be from the state of Iowa to be buried at the Iowa Veterans Cemetery.
Right.
The only cost associated with interment out here is a spousal fee, which is currently
yeah.
$300.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Minimal.
Very minimal.
Because I know in local cemeteries they're not that inexpensive.
Oh, you buy the lot.
You have to buy the plot, and then you have to
yeah.
pay for opening and closing.
Right,
So that's why it's important, and it feels like art.
Yeah.
It feels that it's not that
does,
expansive, but it's got that feel.
Sure.
Got that.
You know, and you
Ambiance.
talk about that feel. You know, I'm very. I'm not out here every day because I have multiple hats. But when I do come out here, I drive around, and you know, I know what's authorized to be placed at a headstone and what's not authorized. And what I mean by that is right now we're in the period of the year where artificial flowers, by our policy, they're not
They're not
authorized.
allowed. Right.
And you know, so we have a responsibility that, you know, every Friday we have to go and we have to pull those artificial flowers, and I feel horrible doing it.
Sure.
But it's to maintain the integrity of the cemetery. It's not because, you know, as a director I don't want it there.
Yeah. No.
It's just because we have to follow the guidelines. And you know, and of course, shrines are a big no-no out here as well. You see all different kinds of shrines, and you know, when I've conducted services, I tell the families, you know, because I have multiple people, and I just say, hey, just a couple of administrative things for, you know, hey, you know, from this time, artificial flowers are not allowed to be placed out here. Fresh flowers all year round. When they wither or whatever, you know, my staff will remove them.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that. You know, no Hawkeye flags, no Iowa State Cyclone flags, no Chicago Cubs flags. You know, really the only flags that are authorized to be placed at the headstones are the United States flag and then the service flag. The state of Iowa flag can't even be placed at these headstones.
No.
Okay, POWs would be the other one if they were a POW. Okay. In a rare instance, which is not here at this cemetery, on one day a year, the Confederate flag can be placed at a headstone. So down in the South, at state cemeteries or national cemeteries, that Confederate Memorial Day, they can place the Confederate flag. Other than that, I mean, you know, those are really the only flags that can be placed is the service flag when the services, the POW if they were a POW, and the U.S. flag. And so, you know, you'd be amazed. And I get it. People are honoring their loved ones that are placed, they're buried here. And, you know, they had a certain thing that they love doing, whether it's, you know, putting a golf ball in front of the headstone or, you know, or, unfortunately, people put cans of beer, you know, things like that. So we have to remove that because, again, it takes away from the integrity of the cemetery.
Right. It's so awesome. I mean, when I drive I-80, because we're right off of I-80, and it at night.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the flag.
Yep.
The flag. I mean, you can see that flag, and you know, and you see the sign. If you come from Des Moines, going west, you can see the Iowa Veterans Cemetery placard. I mean, the whole wall is just. It's just gorgeous.
Breathtaking. I've been out here at sunset.
Yeah.
And with the flag that faces west. I'm there at sunset, and if there's a big, bright, beautiful sun, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful out here. It's just very solemn, and it's very honoring all of our veterans that are out there. So
well, let's go
take a
ride
tour.
Let's do it.
And look at it and share.
So we're gonna go take a little break here, and then we're gonna get ready, and we're gonna take a tour around in a golf cart before it gets too hot.
I love the native grass, and you know. This is the pump house right here. Yeah. So Shane's been messing with it. So that's part of the project. That's part of the grants program.
Okay, you can put in anything you want to say now. You're just kind of giving the whole tour.
Yeah.
How do they choose to go clear down here, not follow that?
So when they first started interring out here, this is section 1 right here. Okay, so go section 1 and then section 2, 3, 4, and then on this side, okay, and then section 5 is right down here, section 6, and then section 7. They started really in the middle of the cemetery. Okay, we just, 2, 3 years ago is when we started interring in section 1. But prior to that, it was section 5 and then section 2. So section 5 is casket. They're single lined casket vaults. Okay. And you can tell the difference, right? Because the columns, they're spaced apart. They're farther apart, as in section 2 and 3 and 4, these are urn in the grounds. Okay, so caskets are in the center part of the cemetery. So section 5, 6, and 7 will all be casket, and then I'll show you here in a little bit, but on the outside, it's all urn in the ground. Okay, I will tell you that we're probably, I would say probably 7 or 8 to 1 urn placements versus casket placements. It's more cost effective, it's cheaper, and that's just kind of some of the things. But yeah, these are all urn and grounds. Of course, these are walls 1 through 3. These were the first set of walls that had urns placed in the niches. Yep. And section 3, and again, it's the rolling hills of the cemetery, and it's just kind of neat how they kind of, it's the post office.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's easier for the
Whereas in over here in
in
section 7, you have more casket. These are all caskets because the ground's a little bit more flatter, if you will.
Yeah.
And these sections 5, 6, and 7 are all single vaulted caskets. Now here's the uniqueness. We're operating out of section 7 right now for single caskets. The vaults don't come until basically the day of the service, and they place them in, and then we do the service.
So you've got some that are just been buried, the burials.
Yep.
So is there a reason the headstones?
Yep. In certain instances, you have reserved sites. Okay. We don't reserve sites out here at the cemetery, but if there is a veteran, if you will, or a spouse that's eligible, then they can be placed next to the veteran.
Correct.
Okay. So for example, right here in the corner, this is where Bill Knapp is buried.
Right.
He's the one who donated the land, and he's in section 7. And so there are spots if they're a veteran, if both the husband or the veteran and the spouse are both veterans, then they're next to each other.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And these would be just single, no doubles.
Nope, these are all single vaults. Single vaults. Yep.
So you have a section that we'll probably see where they're double vaults. So if they know their spouse is going to be buried with them at a later date, then you put them in a different area.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes it logical and makes it more efficient.
And over here, Carlene, that is the in memory of. So there's no remains.
Oh.
Yes. So remains were never recovered or whatever, but they still go through. The family can fill out the paperwork, and those are in memory of. That's the in memory of section.
That's beautiful.
Yep. And if you go in there, if you look at the headstones, which when we go up there, you can get some footage that all of the headstones will say in memory of.
So there is room in memory of if the remains are recovered?
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Now there are some state cemeteries and national cemeteries where they have sections where families can spread the ashes. Okay. They have a certain, it's called a there's a technical term for it and it's escaping me right now, but we don't have that here at the Iowa Veteran Cemetery. So it's either got to be in an urn or a casket. So. Yep.
Well, I see far in the distance out there. Are we going to drive over there? I see a
Yep.
rock, and
Yep.
I'm sure
Yep. Yep.
that. But while we're here, Gavin, let's talk a little bit about why, for future reference, why our flag is at half-staff today.
Yep. So right now, the reason why the flags are at half-staff is because the governor has ordered the flags at half-staff for two people actually. Major Brad Hovey, who was killed in that flight accident with the B-52 bomber. He was born in Algona, Iowa, raised in Adel. So that's the flags were at half-staff, and then of course it was supposed to be done sunset on Friday. But now with the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, it's extended until Saturday. So that's why the flags are at half-staff. And our office, we get notified every time the governor puts out something. We get notified, so we know right away when flags are to be at half-staff. And we're a state facility, so we are required to do that. Other institutions that aren't state, or city-run government facilities, they don't necessarily have to adhere to that, but we do, and we would anyway. Yep. And then we'll go here. We'll get a closer look, but next to this is our memorial walk, and so there are different headstones of different organizations that have these memorial headstones to honor those in that. For example, we have the Vietnam headstone or memorial stone that honors all Vietnam veterans. Disabled American veterans. Yep. And we'll go through and you can get footage of all of those. Yep. And then over here, 8 Alpha, 8 Bravo, and then 32 Alpha are all sections where we have double-lined vaults, pre-placed vaults where the caskets of the veteran and their spouse, they're one on top of each other. So we're operating out of 8B, and we're operating out of 32 Alpha. And as you can see over here, we have a service later today, a casketed service that's going to be over here in 8B. And as you can see, it's being placed in a spot where either the veteran or spouse has already been buried.
That's tight to work in.
Yes, you can see our equipment, right?
Yeah,
and so again another shout out to my staff. They have to be able to operate equipment in confined spaces. So the backhoe, we have a small backhoe right there, and we also have a larger one too. Yep. And so as you can see, it's precision, it's tight, and
you can see those headstones lined up.
Yep. So one of the other things I want to point out, if you can see them, Carlene, is see how some of the stones have been stained. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the upgrade in our project right now, is because our pump house, the filtration system, was being affected by the well water we're pumping out of, because there's a lot of iron in it. And so it was basically, when the water was going, it was spraying rusty water onto our stones. And so when we have time, we have ways that we can clean up these headstones, to make them look, cleaner. But that happened throughout the entire cemetery. And so there's been 2 years. This is the first year in 2 years that we've been able to really run water out here. And again, requirements, we have to have green grass. And so, thankfully the grants program through the VA cemetery administration, if you will, that's part of the grants program.
So this land off to the left here, that's part of it?
It
or
is,
that's
it is.
part That's
Yep.
not been developed
Yep,
yet?
that's not been developed yet. Yep, that's not been developed. So we have land over here that eventually could be developed. Where the tree line is where it ends, where the property basically ends. But everything that you see that's not tree line is part of the Iowa Veteran Cemetery.
Here's another.
We'll go this way. We'll go this way. Yeah. So these are walls 4 through 6, and they're all full. Anything that you see, any niche cover that you see is bare. It's just because they're waiting for, maybe it's a veteran is in one niche and then a spouse. But these are all full. A couple of guys doing some things. Yep. So, yep. They're gonna get up on top. They're gonna get up on top of the roof and clean the roofs, pressure wash the roofs.
Well, at least they're not up at the lake. They're not in kitchens up there and seals.
So Gavin, this is just an example of, here's my maiden name. We'll get this one just for posterity. Wonder if I'm related at all. Oh, here's a halt. It's ironic that we stopped here.
And so this is a good one, right? So, you have the veteran who passed away and is currently in his urn is in the niche, and then the temporary marker is because. Well, no, I'm sorry. In this case, no. The spouse passed away first, so her urn is in there, and then the veteran who just recently passed away, we're waiting for that new niche cover to come in with the right inscription on it. That's what these temporary grave markers are for. That's what they signify. Yeah.
All good. Being that this has just been in effect for 24 years, you said?
Well, yeah,
Or
I mean,
18?
we operationally 18 years.
18 years, and the number of graves that are here already was,
Yeah.
there was very much a need for this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so what a vision
Yes.
that someone was able to
Yep.
and find the perfect ground. I often think that things like this don't happen by accident.
But yeah, they've already
No.
Some sort of divine intervention for
Well,
such things.
and there was soil testing and all of those things that go into development, to ensure that the ground was fertile and the soil was good. Because obviously digging is one of the things that we do out here, and it's. You want to go up here now? Yeah, it's important, So this is our committal shelter. This is where we conduct our services. We have service times of 9:30, 11, 12:30, and 2, Monday through Friday. This is not a funeral per se. This is a committal service. And so they already have the funeral. They come out here, whether it's an urn, whether it's a casket. Majority of the time they come inside the committal shelter here. And this is where we conduct military honors, pending on their, what they're eligible for. They may get a full military honors service where we have, a rifle detail, a flag folding detail. That's full military honors, and of course the playing of taps.
And you also do the unclaimed burials.
Yep. So
once a year.
we support the final salute. which is a nonprofit organization that they've come to life to really do the correct things for unclaimed remains of veterans that are in Iowa. And so we help the program with the committal services, the paperwork to submit the paperwork through the VA system. The Final Salute team, they do all the necessary, finding out the background, the genealogy.
Yeah.
I mean, they do all that.
Yeah.
We are simply the final resting place, for those veterans and spouses.
And that will be coming up in
October
again.
3rd. It's a Saturday.
Right. I got to attend last year's,
Yeah.
and I was just
Yeah.
amazed of all the people that came out to support those families that didn't have families. And these are cremains that are found in
It could be
anywhere.
It could be in the basement of a funeral home
Or
in southeastern Iowa.
I think I turned one in that was in a semi.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
cremains were in a semi,
Yeah.
that they bought this semi and they
Yep.
found the cremains in a box. I mean, it was ridiculous that those families weren't. Now, I know Ben, he's part of that group. That's
Ben is a board member.
board member of the Final Salute.
Yep,
So,
yep.
And he's very busy doing that and getting those. How many you have coming up this year?
16 for October, and that rounds us out to 100.
100 so
and then,
far.
Yep,
Wow.
and then this Saturday we've got a fundraiser to try to help pay for all of those when we're doing flag cases, as well as the urns for the spouses, and then the spouses' burial. So.
Right. So there's always
Yeah.
something going on, not just
Right.
families to do this. It's a lot of outside of resource and cooperation
Yep.
between organizations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. With the Final Salute, again, we're affiliated as we facilitate the cemetery for it. Reese Cross America. Again, we facilitate the cemetery for them to conduct, the placing of the wreaths. I always have to say we are in no way, shape, or form part of the program as far as like the
you're part of the
operations.
committee.
But
No,
we're there
Yep.
to provide that cemetery for them. Lene and her team with the Final Salute, they keep getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And she's done a really good job with that, and just her passion for honoring veterans and spouses. And so it's been a calling for her, and her story with how the Final Salute kind of developed was just incredible. That's not my story to tell, that's her story to tell.
Visiting probably her down the road sometime at the Final
and
Salute.
and
Yeah,
Ben is one of
Yeah.
my state benefit specialists out at Camp Dodge, and he's a veteran himself. He's great at what he does. He's passionate about serving the veterans, and so he not only does he volunteer his time with the Final Salute, but he also volunteers his time with the VFW. What did you just get appointed as, Ben?
I'm the junior vice for the state
Yep.
of Iowa.
Yep. So he puts in a lot of time there. He travels all over the state, working with county veteran service officers.
I think we've seen him at a few outreach functions down the road.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
The fair coming up.
Yep,
So the
yep.
fair is going to be busy here in a couple of weeks
yep.
or so, and
Veterans Day at the fair on August the 17th.
you betcha.
And every national and state cemetery is required to have this place somewhere.
Really.
Yeah, little fun fact. And the other nice thing too is, as part of our grants program, we're going to get the Space Force
Well,
emblem
that's
put
what I
up
was
here
just gonna
too.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah, we missed that
yeah,
one.
we got the flagpole already put in play,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yep.
Yeah, you got the flag.
When we get full with phase 1, this is part of like phase 2 and phase 3, where they'll develop these areas for Yeah, so these are our last set of walls. These are walls 10, 11, and 12. And again, we're currently we're almost done with wall 11.
Okay.
And so this is wall 11 in the middle. And then, so as you can see, we have wall 12 left. And then once that's done, then, by the time we get through wall 11, by the time, I'm sorry, I said, by the time we get through wall 12, because we're in wall 11 right now, we get through wall 12, our columbarium wall expansion, which is going to be directly behind this,
Okay, that's what I need.
developed land back there, it'll be done. So we won't have to worry about operations ceasing or anything like that. But again, land, this is ours, and part of the other phases of the cemetery. And then we have a little roadway back here where it even goes back further.
So how
So
much right now has been developed, Gavin? I mean, for,
Less than a third.
we don't.
really?
We don't. We're still in phase 1, and there's 4 phases to the cemetery.
my.
So 103 acres. We're projected to be full. Probably in another 30 to 40 years.
right, when we did this,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
And it
we
goes
had
it goes
planned
back
out for
there.
years.
It goes all the way back there. Yep.
You wanna drive up?
Yeah, sure. We can go drop the top of the hill. You bet.
Let's see what's on the other side
Yeah.
of that
It's all
berm out there.
it's all prairie.
Yes. Now, is this currently CRP ground until it's developed?
Not that I'm aware of, because it can get mowed.
Okay.
We don't mow it because we don't have the equipment to mow it.
You can get a local farmer who
Mm-hmm.
would help step up. Boy, this is a lot of,
Yep.
This is nice, but in the meantime, it's
Yeah.
good pollinators.
Yep,
It's
that's
good
right.
for the environment.
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Yep.
Didn't realize it went so far
Oops, sorry.
back.
Just stop. Okay, sorry.
You've got to see it when it's on a map.
Oh, yeah,
Because on the map, it's still you can't kind of grasp
visualize it, yeah. Well, it's wonderful that we have the opportunity for history and for future veterans, unfortunately.
And it's just so peaceful.
Yes, it is.
it. Even with the interstate right there.
Yeah.
Even with the you can't hardly hear
No.
the interstate.
Even
You can't even hear the rock quarry across the road.
we'll end up by the Freedom Rock, that Bubba Swanson did, and you can barely hear the interstate even right there. So
Wow.
yeah, it goes all the way back to the tree line. So we don't allow recreational activities out here, but one thing that we do allow is when, like say on Memorial Day, there's maybe a couple small groups that will get together and they'll do a 10-mile ruck march. So maybe start in Adel or somewhere north of here, and they'll ruck here. It's to honor, and so then they'll congregate here, and they might go to the Marine Corps Memorial wall, or they'll do something, and they'll congregate and they'll be here for a little bit, and then they go. But yeah, don't allow hunting out here. We don't allow access to the grounds, to our west. So it's just kind of one of those things where we just don't do that. And we have events out here. We have a Memorial Day service every year. We have a Veterans Day service every year. I've already mentioned the final salute service, which is in October, as well as the Wreaths Across America service in December. See, look at that, artificial flowers. Okay, so here is, we call this Memorial Walk. So this is kind of last part of the cemetery. And, we have different memorial stones here. We've got the Combat Wounded Veterans Memorial. We have the 132nd Fighter Wing of the Air National Guard, the Vietnam Veterans of America, Disabled Veterans of Iowa, United States Submarine Veterans of Iowa. We have the Vietnam for the 5th Armored Cavalry, American Legion Wall, VFW Wall, Korean War era Yep, American ex-prisoners of war. You got the Marine Corps wall, and then finally the Daughters of the American Revolution. And they come out here every year. They come out here every year and they do a ceremony out here. It's really cool. And yeah. So this is that in memory of section that we have again. There's no remains. It's kind of neat because you have this right here with the flag and the stone and the interstate. Of course, we haven't gotten with the string trimmer here yet. That's a problem. Yeah. And they just mowed yesterday, so these guys will get out here throughout the day, the next couple of days.
What if a veteran is buried overseas? How can they be honored in Iowa? Is there a way?
Yep. We haven't gone down there yet. But if there's an Iowan who's killed in action, if you will, down at the we have the Global War on Terrorism Memorial Wall down there, and they can be placed on the stone. They can be etched in the stone, their name. And, you know, obviously this stone is specific to the Iowa Veteran Cemetery. Bubba Sorensen, one of our state representatives.
How long has this been here, Gavin?
Oh, I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was right away.
He didn't date it.
I'd have to get back to you on. Oh, 2018.
Looks like we need to get a hold of government.
Touch it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the Fallen Heroes Monument where we honor Iowans, you know, that served on the left side